Hello EFR 513 students. In this video we're going to go over the exercise 12, DATA.GOV RiskFactors, and we're going to go over the key. So the first one says go to EFR, go to this website, and it's the DATA.GOV website. So we're going to go ahead and go there. And this is from the health. If you went on the topics, right, this is coming from the health. And so this is community health status indicators to combat obesity, heart disease, and cancer. And notice it's a CVS file or CSV file. So go ahead and download that file. Okay, from there, once it's downloaded, you're going to go ahead and open that up. And I recommend open it up in Excel. And when you do that, one of the first things you want to do is, if you come into the data file, what you're going to notice is that there's some spaces in there. Like San Francisco has a space in it. These are all the different counties. And you want to eliminate those spaces. So this is a problem. So I'm just going to eliminate those spaces. And also in any wording up here, you want to eliminate spaces. So to do that, I'm going to go Control H. I'm in the Excel document. I'm going to go Control H, and I'm going to give it a space. Here's just one space, right? You're going to give that space, and the other one you're going to say don't. And I guess you got to block the whole thing first. So I'm going to go ahead and block the whole thing, and then I'm going to go Control H. And then I'm going to do that space on top, bottom, and then find, you can say replace all. Now I've already done it on this file, so it's not going to find any, but you're going to find quite a few values it's going to replace. So that's just good practice before you take in any file into R, that we eliminate those spaces. Now, one thing I also did is I went in and I shortened some of the names. So, and this just make it easier inside R. So once you've done that, go ahead and save it as a CSV file, right? And then you're going to be reading that into R. Now, one thing also too, I'm just going to keep this open on the side, so I can check some names. Like I'm interested in North Dakota, so I'm going to go down to North Dakota, and what are they calling Grand Forks County? Right, so we want to find out some information about Grand Forks County in North Dakota. Give it some room up here so we can see the whole thing. And here's Grand Forks County. Okay, so we've got a question of that about the assignment. So what did they call the county? Just Grand Forks. One word, because we've eliminated spaces. That's what we're going to reference that as. So I'm just going to keep this open on the side. So now I'm going to go into my R. And this is EX12. Now in the key, I just copied all my code and put it on the bottom. So if you ever want to just run it from there. But the first thing we have to do is read it in. So we need to set our working directory. So I'm going to go to the file, and then I'm going to go to three little dots way to the right here. And then I'm going to go find that file. Okay. And when I find that file, I'll open that file. So I'm opening that file down here, and you can see here's my file, RiskFactors. I guess right here, CSV. Okay, so I need to set this at my working directory. So the little cog here, and where it says more, I'm going to now say set as working directory. That's going to give me some code, and the code's repeated up here. And then I want to read that file. So notice read CSV, and then header equals true. Then the attributes. So I can just block this whole section up here. I'm going to run it. And there, it read the file. It's 3141 by 31. And here's the names. So again, I shortened some of these names up. So now I've just read the entire file. And but I don't need the entire file. I don't need the confidence intervals, things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reread the shorter list, okay, of the variables, eliminating the confidence intervals. So that's what this is. So I have a data frame. So I'm going to pull from that data frame. So that's giving me a shorter list. Okay. There's my shorter list. All right. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is for this particular study, I'm going to use even lesser variables. So as we look here, I'm going to look at county name, state name, fruits, veg, no exercise, obesity, high blood pressure, and smoking. So then I'm going to go get a sub data frame from that first one. So I'll go ahead and block and run that. So now I even have a little smaller data frame that I'll be working with for these questions. Okay. Now, one thing we're going to use a by statement, and a good place to use that is we're going to use a library, and it's called data table, and we need to read that library. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to come over here and so to read that library, okay, the library is named data table. So I'm going to come over here, and you notice we're on file. We're going to go to packages, and then we're going to say install. Okay, and then we're going to paste it in there. So it's data table, and we're going to install that. Okay. So that's going to give you some red coding here, blah blah blah. But then where we are right here, okay, we're gonna install that table, and then we're gonna get the citation for it. Okay, so it's installed, and the package, we get the citation, and within the package as data table, we're gonna create that. It's gonna call DF, and we're gonna create that as a table. Okay, so we ran that, and we can look at the attributes of that, and they're read in just fine. Okay, so we have the table, and we're going to use data table. Okay, all right, so now we're ready to answer some questions. So I have question 1, even though it's at EX1205, we're going to answer the first one. What is the rate of no exercise, obesity, high blood pressure, smoking for Grand Forks County? Okay, so I'm going to do that right here with the which statement. So I'm using this DF, right? I just created that up here. We're going to use that a few times going down. And I'm saying which, and then I give the state name, North Dakota, and the county name, Grand Forks. Okay, and we see the RAF, DF, right? $, and then the name within the file. Okay, here's the names within the files, right? Right down here. So we look at the county name. That's where we're getting that name. But it's in the RFAC _ DF database or file, data frame. Okay, so that's how we're going to do that. I'm going to run that. And that's going to give me that information for Grand Forks County. I don't have to worry about negative values because nothing's missing on that row. Okay, question number two, how does Grand Forks County compare to the rest of the state, including Grand Forks County? So meaning, what's the state? So here I'm going to use this same one. So I'm going to get a thing called North Dakota, RFAC underscore North Dakota. And you can see here we're using the which statement, and we're getting North Dakota. Okay, once we do that, we can go ahead and run that. Okay, and that gave me for North Dakota. So these are all the counties in North Dakota now. Right, Adams, Barnes, and so we're going to take that. Now we've got a few missing values in here, so we're going to get rid of those missing values because we're going to be averaging this. Okay, so I'm taking that same data frame, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to just ask the question greater than 0. So we're going to remove all these values, negative values, out of this data frame. And after I run that, calling that North Dakota new, and you see all those negative values have been removed. And here we're going to use now. So we're going to compare it to our state. So in order to do that, I'm going to ask for these values, the means of each one of these variables. I'm going to use, and this is part of the table package. So I'm coming in a square bracket, comma, and because now we're after the columns, right? So, and then we're going to say the by. Now this by statement is very important to us, and so we're saying by state. So this is like a function in SAS. So we're asking for the means of all these variables, which are now the columns, because you see we have row and then column. We're in the column area, and we're going with a by statement. So by state. Okay. So when I run that, that's going to give me the means of all those. Okay. Okay, so when we put the data set, the only state in there was North Dakota, and wasn't all the states, but it's by state because so it comes in and there's one state, and that's North Dakota. So here's the answer to that. So these are the numbers for the state of North Dakota. Okay, so how does North Dakota compare with the rest of the states? Okay, so right now I'm going back to the data file that I initially created up here, coming out of the data table. So this has all my variables in it for this study. So we're doing a very similar thing than we just did, but when I ask for by states, all the states are in this file. So we're getting rid of the zeros and all the counties, and then we're going by state. So it's going to give me all the states. So when I run these, so I have all the states, Rhode Island, Ohio. I got those critical numbers for all those states. So then I could compare, I could take all these values and then I could compare North Dakota to that. Okay, number 8. It says create 3 plots, obesity versus high blood pressure, no exercise. Okay, so here are the plots. So I'm just going plot one from the other. There. And likewise the other two. And then finally everything's against blood pressure. Okay. And then for number 9, I asked which model best explains the relationship between high blood pressure and obesity. So we just ran a linear model for each one of these. And if you run these models, what we're going to find is that, let me pull it back in here. So here's our graphs, and here's our models. And the one that explains the most is no exercise has the best relationship with high blood pressure. And as you saw from our last data set, kidney disease is one of the biggest killers and one of the top 5 killers. And blood pressure is highly related to kidney failure. So it's looking at no exercise turns out to be the variable that's related highest with high blood pressure. Okay, and that's the assignment. Now, what would you do for the final project? I'd just spend some time writing this results section up in a more formal fashion like I would for a manuscript. That's what I'm looking for the final project. Thank you.